Happy Monday, everybody. We covered the Gygax 75 challenge. Did a whole what is the Gygax 75 challenge last week sometime, and we discussed in the chat about whether it'd be a cool thing to do over the summer to do as a community. Just do a whole walkthrough of the challenge, going through the steps from what we're going to cover today, which is week one, and maybe some intro stuff. Mostly week one, the concept, up until we get kind of at least, if not a fully fleshed out campaign, then a very good, fairly detailed place to start, place to do our adventuring. Originally, I thought about, well, should we just run through it, rip through it in a week, one day per challenge, per stage of the challenge? And then as I was thinking about it, I thought, I want to have a little bit of, I want to let things marinate. I want to allow things to settle. I think we come up with better ideas when we're able to sleep on things and not have to just rip through fast. So I thought instead, let's just do it over 5 weeks, presuming we do one every week, which is my plan. That way, each new week comes, hopefully you and me and any folks who see things in the interim can come back and add some fresh perspective. We'll get some new and different ideas, and then it won't feel too much like we're just trying to race, right? For me, it's not a race. This is more an enjoyable stroll through the parks, through a nice hike into the mountains of our imagination. If you're wondering what the Gygax 75 challenge is, I did a whole stream on it last week, but just to kind of bottom line it, it's basically a man named Ray Otis went and discovered, found an article from the 70s from Gary Gygax to a wargaming magazine in which he went through a number of steps about how to build your D&D campaign. So Mr. Otis was nice enough to go through there and kind of pick out the main bits of each step, try to distill it into some prompts. He puts them in a checklist form, basically to make it easy to take, say, I want to say it's impractical, but maybe to take Gygax's words are and make it into a bit more of a practical step-by-step flow that you can get into, follow it along 1 step a week, and by the end he had 5 steps. This is 5 weeks, 5 steps. You end up with some kind of campaign that you can then run. And the interesting thing about it, the 75, is I think that's the year that either he wrote the article or was published, but you're really looking at these ideas of at least one of the founders of the game, along with Arneson, in terms of what campaigns look like. So it's both an exercise and sort of just getting a campaign going if you need one, and also thinking about, well, what would if you were around in 1975 building a campaign, what might that kind of be like? It's not going to be that way exactly, but you can get a sense of kind of what were people concentrating on, what were the important things, what was the crux of the matters if you were a mid-70s D&D player. I'm going to pull up. So I got a couple things here. I'm going to go it might be a little bit messy, but we'll see how that goes. Let's see. There we go. I use, if you've seen my streams before, I'm going to just pronounce it Ouija. I think that's what they mean. WEJE. It's my whiteboard. It's if you're familiar with something like Figma, though, this is a lot more rougher than something like Figma is, or there's another one. I forget the name of it. There's a few of these. Essentially, it's a digital whiteboard. You can put anything you want. You can paste images. You can write text. You can mind map. You can just throw a whole bunch of stuff to it and just stick. I like to use it because, I don't know, maybe it follows my sort of messy personality. You can have stuff in a linear fashion if you wanted to, but then you can link stuff horizontally. You can keep adding more space to it. Works very well. So this is what I'm going to work. This is going to be our workboard, our workbook for the challenge as it goes forward. Here in Handy Dandy Acrobat is the Gygax challenge book. I don't think I'm going to read through the intro again. Let's see if there's anything in here that I think. And keep in mind, if you're interested in this, and the Gygax 75 challenge document, it's free. Just go to itch and search for it. There's links in the show description. So if you're keen on reading this, if you happen to drop in on this stream or you see this video later and you didn't see the other video, that other video goes more in depth on all that. Basically goes through this from the cover page, from the front cover to the back cover. And of course, if you want to read through it, you can just go download it and read it. So I'm not super concerned with that stuff, but we will, and I'll just blow this up for right now. We will get into this part. So this first week, which we're going to be doing today, is the concept. And during this step, during this week, we are supposed to articulate the big ideas and gather sources. We do have a quote here from Gygax. Step 1 is something you do in your head. Now, fantasy/swords and sorcery games need not have any fixed basis for the assumptions made by its referee, my own doesn't, except those which embrace the whole of fantasy. This sort of campaign can mix any and all of the various bases, which will be mentioned below, and then some. Regardless, for what setting you opt, keep it secret from your players, or else they can study your sources and become immediately too knowledgeable, thus removing the charm of uncertainty. Settings based upon the limits, if one can speak of fantasy limits, can be very interesting in themselves, providing the scope of the setting will allow the players relative free rein to their imaginations. So as you can see from that, we're in pretty high Gygaxian prose here. So it's nice that we get this, which is great to read, and the entire article's in the back of the book, if you wish to read it. But for our purposes, we can. It's nice that, hey, Ray went through and distilled these into 3 things which we should do, and then 1 extra credit, which we will. The extra credit is assemble a mood board, which Ouija will work perfectly well as a mood board. So here are our tasks that are for today. Get or create a notebook. Okay, we could just check that off. Done. That's the easiest part. 2, develop our pitch, which is probably where we're going to be spending the most time. And then 3rd, gathering our sources for inspiration. Probably do that. We could think about it. Obviously, I'm going to rely on folks who are in here in the chat. Feel free if I don't know. One of the things that's interesting about running streams, YouTube /Google, they don't let me know, or I don't really have any idea what appliance people are using it. So I know, like for myself, for example, I actually will watch a lot of YouTube on my TV. It's one of the things when my wife and daughter are asleep and I'm still awake, I will kind of surf YouTube and check out some things. There's no application on my TV, or there's no way on my TV for me to do anything beyond subscribing to a channel, giving a thumbs up or thumbs down. That's the limit of what I can do. I can't type anything. I can't even see in a stream. If you're on YouTube on the website, and I think in the mobile apps, you can see chat messages and whatnot. You can't see that on the TV unless whoever I'm watching is streaming and they are reposting the chat messages in their stream. I can't see them. Long way of saying, I don't know that the analytics tells me how many folks are watching this on their computers, participating that way versus participating in applications where I can say to you, hey, let me know in the chat. Now, we do get some chat messages now and again from folks, so I'm pretty sure those folks, you know who you are on either their phones or iPads or some other device or their computers where they can do that. But sometimes it's also interesting because I don't know whether, hey, people just don't have ideas or don't have anything to say, or they literally can't, like I would be when I'm watching a stream on my TV. And yeah, I'd love to leave a message, but I can't. Or at least I can't without also pulling it up on another device and doing that, which I don't think I've ever felt so strongly about a comment I was going to leave on somebody's stream that I thought, like, oh, I've got it on my TV. Let me get to my phone or something and also pull up the stream and do it that way. I'm not even sure how that would work. So in any case, we need to develop our pitch. Write down 3 to 7, no more, well-crafted bullet points that will sell the world to your players. Each bullet should be concise and focused. A few clear sentences for each is plenty. Emphasize the most essential bits for establishing excitement, expectations, and tone. Your pitch will give players an idea of what they can expect to find or not in your setting and will help them create suitable character concepts. So there's a very practical thing here. The idea of a pitch, it comes, let's say it's a, does that work? Here we go, it does. I'm just going to, no, not italic, silly, bold. All right. The pitch comes from, I don't know ultimately where the idea was pitching something, but you think of it in advertising, entertainment. Do you have an idea? The pitch is that first phrase. If you had a chance to ambush some movie producer and you wanted to try to sell them on your idea, the first thing you do is that pitch, which is short, little bits. But it's going to give them enough information to be able to say, to be able to, for you to transmit the spirit of your idea and what it's all about, that they can also get, right? And there's jokes and memes about pitches, the kind of thing, like it's I don't know, it's the Little Rascals beats the Elephant Man, it's Charles Darwin in space. Like those are all similar to the pitch, or in that same ballpark of you're trying to make, an image, trying to give somebody a really powerful image that encapsulates what your setting's about. Now in this case, we're not trying to bottom line it to just it's like this but like that, or it's like this plus that, or anything like that. But you get the idea of what that pitch is. This is the thing that you might, if you were in a gaming store and you were setting up your game, or you're trying to get people on your game, and you had one, say 8 by 11, or not 8 by 11, one whatever 3.5-inch note card, whatever they are. You have your old note card there, so you can write a few things on there and put some other information. What would you put about your campaign? You want to get people who, you want to obviously make it enticing for the players, but you also want to get people who kind of grok what you're playing at and are going to have fun with that, and not be dissatisfied. So you do want to attract people, but at the same time you want to make sure that if they are signing up for this, that you and them are going to be on somewhat similar pages, so that you're doing some work here. And this is where you get kind of the bullets about, what are the essential bits about your setting, kind of what's interesting about it, are there limits? Or you want to be clear that there are no limits, or whatever. So you've seen these, and if you've gone and looked at any kind of Gygax 75 challenge stuff floating around in the, I want to do a shout out to the New School Revolution Discord. They're running a Gygax 75 challenge, and you'll see stuff in there, and we'll look at the example in a minute of, oh hey, this has magic is different, works differently here, or you might see one that says humans only, everything else is weird. I think that's even the example that he gives here. Yes, in the example, player characters are humans. Everybody else is kind of strange, potentially. There might be another one saying, hey, everything is strange. So there are no normal humans. Someone might say magic is everywhere, or magic is nowhere. So there's all these kinds of things. But you want to come up with a few of them that are going to basically, if you feel comfortable, if you were to post this in meetup.com, or like I said, put it on a post-it note, or put it on a note card and stick it in your local game store, that someone coming by and reading it would get a good idea of what your setting's about, what makes it interesting, if there is anything about it, limitations, things like that. No goblins, no gnomes. People hate gnomes, or no Kender, or everybody's Kender, or whatever. Anything interesting about the universe. So I'm just gonna throw some of these text boxes out here that we will hopefully fill up. I'm trying to think for myself in the absence of anybody else, because that's the other thing I have to deal with when I'm streaming, is in the absence of anyone coming to me and giving me great ideas, I got to try to come up with them on my own. Hey, Brian Smith. So I'll just go ahead and link these. No, it's fine. Yeah. 3 to 7. So right now I have 4. I could make more. So we want to do, what are the essential bits of this set? I guess the first thing is kind of, what kind of setting do we want? Brian Smith says, you need great ideas? Perfect timing. Hey, the Dave also. Yes, I need ideas. I don't know. I mean, we need to decide what our setting is going to be. We're trying to, right, establish excitement, expectations, and tone. So what are people feeling like? Gashran seems like he's starting something. So I'm trying to think what I want. There's nothing I really want. I mean, I'll always gravitate towards similar kinds of campaigns, because I think that's just kind of what I like. So I'm definitely interested to see what other people have. Maybe we'll end up in a place that is the same kind of thing I always like, which is nothing wrong with that. But it wouldn't be bad if we did something different. But I will read while I'm waiting to see if Gashran seems to be typing something. I can't see I don't get the little icon saying that they're typing, so hopefully they are. They've put a cliffhanger note in the chat, but I'll say hopefully something comes of it. But let's just read. We'll read the pitch points. I think there's just one. Yeah, we'll read the pitch points for what for Ray Otis's example, which is Uzrak, where the gods dwell. The pitch points are: player characters are human. Creatures that are more or less than human come from interactions between gods and mortals or from a more ancient time. Such creatures are feared and mistrusted, even though some have emerged as allies of humans. Iron is a relatively new technology, antithetical to magic. Most arms, armor, tools, etc. are made of bronze. Those who practice magic and magical creatures react badly to contact with iron, blisters, and burns, or worse. Wearing it interferes with their powers. Iron weapons are +1 hit and damage versus such creatures or characters, but cannot be enchanted. Characters who do not practice magic may use magic items but risk backlash if also wearing or carrying iron. And then there are only two classes, mages and fighters. Characters may dual class, but even one level of mage means gaining the weakness to iron. Mages are playing with powers not meant for use by human mortals. At low levels, mages tap lesser powers for their sorcery, but to gain real power, most mages devote themselves and or are enslaved by a patron deity. Note, cleric spells are open to mages. And then finally, the powers of chaos and law are fighting over the fate of humanity. Humans are seen as a threat because of their proliferation, innovations, and innate self-reliance. The gods struggle to subvert, recruit, or destroy humans, treating them like pawns in some complicated and deadly game. Alignment matters. All right, so here's Gashran's pitch here. High fantasy in the early medieval period, just after the fall of Rome and the Roman Empire, it was the Lizardman Empire. Now, on the ruins of once great civilizations in turmoil, various countries try to rise in power. All right, I'm down with that. I kind of isn't that like the doctrine of the lizard folk? Aren't there people who actually believe that there was an empire of lizard men? All right, so we'll come up with. I'm not gonna spend time dwelling on names for the moment. Let's just get down. Let's get down just the broad strokes here. The Dave says, for reasons unknown, the gods can never see inside of buildings. Oh, I like that. All right. All right, so we've got a kind of early medieval type world. So let's just say, or there's no to make it, just give it some more, let's give it some more specificity, right? No plate armor. I don't know. Was there anything else? What else? What else do we have? Should we say now crossbows? I don't know. I think the Romans had crossbows, didn't they? They even had like repeater crossbows, right? Them and the Chinese both had repeater crossbows. But I'll just say no plate armor. All right. The world is recovering from the fall of great Man Empire. Was this Lizardman Empire? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it both? I mean, is it an analog of the Roman Empire in that it probably is both good and bad? Did some great things, did some horrible things. Probably people had mixed ideas. Are people in this world, are people trying to kind of do that whole Holy Roman Empire thing, trying to carry on like they are the heirs to the Lizardmen Empire? And where are the Lizardmen? Raid LC says Ray's been interviewing about this on his podcast. Could possibly reach out for collab. Raid LC, I am ahead of you already, and I actually might have him on Thursday. Actually, I need to. Pretty sure he sent me a Discord message. We're trying to work out the deets, but yes, we're going to do something. I think actually he's going to come on here, and that audio will get posted to his podcast. But we're still trying to figure it out. But that is already in the works. Brian Smith says, everybody plays as some kind of rapidly evolving weird amoeba in primordial sludge. The goal is to ascend to godhood by evolving to survive outside the sludge pool. Well, that's definitely one way to do it. I wouldn't know how to run, I don't think, a weird amoeba and primordial sludge game. All right, so I like the Dave's idea. So let's be a little bit more specific than buildings, the Dave. Let's think about this. Let's say stone. A lot of buildings are going to be made of stone anyway. Castles made of stone. Dungeons certainly in stone. But your odd log cabin that's made of wood, uh, maybe not. Maybe not. Brian Smith says, "Come on, just run your basic sludge crawl." That would that would literally be a sludge crawl, indeed. So I like the idea of, yeah, the gods are, I guess, cannot, something about stone. I wonder if we could delve in a little bit more. I wonder if we can, for reasons, I like reasons unknown. It's a little more poetic. Unknown, lowercase. Are there any limits? It does give us the Underdark too. It does. It does. Maybe there's maybe there are Underdark gods. Maybe they're the gods of above and below. Yeah, Tunkatad says early medieval would mean round houses, some long houses, all with thatched roofs. Yeah, I think the thing is with stone that I like is that places of authority are still going to have mostly stone, though there's a lot of intrigue there because windows, do gods get? I think that we could play with the idea of being completely surrounded by stone. In other words, if you were to go down, even going down into a dungeon, you would need to close some kind of stone door. The interesting thing would be with how much daylight do they need? How much air do they need to be able to not get in to your whatever you're dwelling your space? Does it have to be encased with stone? Does stone and mortar work? If so you have some neat stuff, and you could get in some really interesting things because a lot of places they're not going to want to be hidden from the gods, but they may want to have some space that they can go to that is hidden. So because a lot of castles, they're not all stone. They're stone. You have wood ceilings, okay, and things like that. Well, the wood ceilings wouldn't block the gods, but maybe inside of there they might have some place. Maybe in their bedrooms would almost all be these kind of bunker-like rooms, so that they could have this spot that's blind to the gods. And then what does that mean? And then intrigue about, well, could you break it if somebody were to drill a small hole in there, or put a little, someone's closing the door and they put a little thing just to block the door open just a little bit. Is that enough for the gods to come in? Could be a lot of fun. The Dave says that any ring of stone would do the trick. So it doesn't even have to be three-dimensional, the Dave. It could just be some standing stones, like you go to Stonehenge, and that's enough. Interesting. Ryan Smith says, carry a stone in your breast pocket to keep the gods from seeing your dark heart. Some assassin would do it properly. Yeah, I wouldn't want to make it too easy. Wouldn't want to make it, I guess well, part of it depends on how much we imagine the gods are active. If the gods, I think this works better, this stone thing, if the gods are going to be pretty active. So I'm going to add something. I think we want the gods to be active because then it would be important to do things that have the security of stone. Ooh, I like that. The security of stone. It's like the riddle of steel, the security of stone. But I wouldn't want it to be like, oh, just carry a pebble in my pocket and then Zeus, you can't hurt me because I'm carrying this little pebble in my pocket. Like, I don't, I want it to be, I think I want it to be something that takes some preparation, takes a little bit of doing. I kind of like putting what is it you make the sign of, like the pentagram or something, right? It keeps devils and demons at bay. You make your circle, but the circle, the trick is that the circle has to remain unbroken, and the circle can easily become unbroken. Like I think that, or maybe that appeals to me a little bit more. But of course, I think it hinges on the fact that it's a real concern. If it's like a lot of games, a lot of settings when the gods are mostly absentee, then I guess it's okay for flavor, and maybe if you're a cleric, it would matter. Because that's the other thing to consider. Are there clerics in this game? If we're considering that you might spend a lot of time around stone, then clerics, you're kind of foobar for a lot of it. You can't go underground because then you lose connection to your god. So do we want to consider that in terms of how easy it is to get out of the god's touch? And of course, we also might want to think about, well, why is this? What is in the stone? What is stone about? So I'm just putting the gods are active in the lives of mortals. I'll put one of those. However, for reasons unknown, they cannot see or manifest through stone. Gods in this world are created by the ruler of the realm using some arcane artifact. The gods change when the throne changes. I kind of like that, Brian Smith, but I feel like it's a little bit too helter-skelter. I'm trying to think in terms of that's a lot of work you're putting on the GM, that if the ruler changes and suddenly all the gods change, oof. I wonder, you know what, it'd be good to tie these two together. So we have the worlds recovering from the fall of the Lizardman Empire. Maybe the fall of that empire is something that triggered this whole stone business. And what do we think? What do we think? Dave says, what if the gods are all monsters, a-holes, and bad guys? Well, they could be. They certainly could be. Brian Smith says, yeah, tiny pantheon yet. That would have to be a very, very small pantheon to me to want to even consider the fact that they might be changing on some kind of basis. All right, so we have early medieval type world. I think the only thing we've said is maybe off the table is there's no plate armor. And let's just put that there's no established codes of chivalry. And I'm going to say or feudalism. We're not there yet. We're going to go with these things. All these relationships that have sprung up haven't happened quite yet. Yeah, what if, let's see, like connected gods to Lizardman, what if the God King idea was a real thing? All right, so maybe, whoops, oh no. Oh, good. All right, I almost hit the wrong button. So maybe, let's see, Gashford says, maybe the Lizardmen, high priest / archmages tried to force the gods to walk among them by creating the stone bodies for them, but something went wrong, which caused the fall of the empire. Okay, I like that. So there was some, let's see, how can I, because remember, we're not trying to make an essay yet, but we're trying to get these bullet points, but I like the idea of a some kind of cataclysmic magical event. Let's see, the empire fell due to so if maybe the God King was trying to do something due to the destruction of their God King. I'm gonna just make a little. Whoops. Definitely gonna just loop those together. All right, the world's recovering from the fall of the Great Lizardman Empire and the death of their, and the death of their God King. And I made a little note. We'll come back. We'll have to see that. So, okay, so we have early medieval type world, or I guess style. Is that better than early medieval style world? No plate armor, no established codes of chivalry or feudalism. The world's recovering from the fall of the Great Lizardman Empire and the death of their God King. Let's see. I think I can add a note here, can't I? Yes. God King's death affected. Oh, I can't make it. Okay. I can only do that. Can I pull you out? No, you're not going to let me? There we go. So the gods are active, however, for reasons unknown, maybe not really unknown, they cannot see or manifest through stone. Brian Smith says, are we going to include dragons, lizardmen, gods? Makes me think of what form they would praise. Maybe some golden dragon representing... Yeah, I like that. let's see. Dragons are the gods of the lizard men, and so this is like, so I actually like this a lot because then we get something, a twist on the stone bit, because now we're going from gods as kind of ineffable whatever's to, okay, the lizard men gods are dragons, and they're very active, which I think people like. You know, we're playing a game called Dungeons and Dragons. It's nice for dragons to be active. They are mortal, though this leaves open the option of maybe they can be killed, presumably. Though maybe they're a lot stronger than even your average everyday dragons are. But stone is kind of anathema to them, which is interesting. And we can try to figure out why. And whatever the God King was doing, led to this stone bit. Just Turbo says that they're doing the Gygax 75 as well. Yeah, on live. They're on week 1 also. Inspiration. Very cool. Yeah, we're going to have to get through that inspirational bits also. So we got 1, 2. So I think those are good. 2, 3 pretty good, I think, bullet points in terms of the setting. We know something about the world. It's early medieval. We know what's happened in the world, kind of where you're coming in the story. The pitch is, it takes place in early medieval, right? You know, we could pitch it as this. Hey, in this game, you're going to be playing in a very early medieval period. Think Fall of the Roman Empire. Instead of it being a human empire, it's Lizardman Empire. And by the way, they worshipped dragons, and the dragons are gods that are very active, but have this weakness, at least in terms of weaknesses, of stone. So, that sounds cool. Ooh, I like it. Tell me more, oh Game Master. Tell me more. So now, do we have any expectations? So we I don't know if I'd say excitement, but I feel like it's I think we have a cool germ of a setting here. What are the expectations in tone? It seems like there's a good mix of kind of gritty in terms of this medieval world. But then there is, I want to say gonzo, but then we have some kind of more fantastical stuff. We've got dragons as active gods. We have a great lizardman empire. Are we doing, because I know, like in the example, they talk about, hey, everybody's playing humans. Are we putting any limits on what we can be? Do we have our elves? So we've got lizardmen, and I would presume that lizardmen are still a race that you could play. Or I don't know if we're talking about in the cataclysm of the lizardman empire, did they vanish? Are there still lizardmen around? What other species are there that are active in the world? Do we have dwarves, elves, and gnomes and that stuff? Or, do we have other? Or is it lizardmen and humans? Is it just lizardmen? Like what other folk? If we were going to kind of give, someone's going to say, well, what species can I play? We would say, well, you could play lizardmen, human, anything else? Just Turbo likes the lizardmen worshipping dragons. Yeah, it's a little bit cliche, I feel like, but it's not a bad one. And it makes sense. You gods are kind of in your image, and if our gods are in the images of people, then it makes sense that lizardmen gods might be in the images of lizards. But if we kind of take that up the tree and we think sort of what's the ultimate reptile being, it's dragons. So makes sense, right? Elfbait says maybe bullywugs and turtles instead of the normal races. Are turtles? Is there a non wizard IP version of turtles? Let me see. I don't have my monster manual. I put all my books away. I've got my. What does the expert set have in terms of lizard-like people? I don't know if bullywugs made the cut in BX. Oh, let's see. What have we got here? It could be fun to say, where this is all kind of lizard-like. Different types of lizard folk. We might have to make them up. We might have to make up, if we take the elf, if we were to take the elf sort of template, but then apply it to lizard people, and I mean the elf template, like you have the the forest elves and the high elves and the gray elves and the dark elves. Like, what would that be like for lizard people? Would there be one? So I'm just going to take a quick swing here. I'm just going to read. Let's see. We got acolytes, white apes, bandits, bears, beetles. That doesn't help. None of those are good for us. Boars, bugbear. No, we don't get bullywugs. At least not in the basic set. Carrion crawlers, nope. Cats, locusts, nope. Doppelgangers, nope. There are dragons, that's fine, but not the plain driver ants, nope. Dwarves, elves, giant ferrets, gargoyles, no, no, no. Gelatinous cubes, ghouls, gnolls, gnomes, no, no, no. Goblins, grey oozes, green slimes, halflings, harpies, hobgoblins, no, no, no. Kobolds, kobolds, yeah. Are these the... Okay, so kobolds and BX are the dog-like people. I suppose we could do the more modern lizard kind of kobolds, but we also do have giant lizards, which we should probably put in somewhere, but I'll save that for later. Here's lizard men. We have lycanthropes, but they don't have any lycanthropes that are applicable to lizard types. Medusas, mules, Neanderthals, and noblemen. Normal humans, ochre jellies, orcs, owlbears, pixies, rats, rock baboons, rust monsters, shadows, shrews, shriekers, skeletons, snakes, sturges, thools, traitors, troglodytes. Ooh, troglodytes works. All right, we got troglodytes. Let me write this. So I'm just putting this in shorthand right now. So we have troglodytes, lizard men. So I think the other thing to think about is, do these other things exist at all? Are we playing in a completely lizard run world? Or do the other races exist potentially in other pockets? How are we doing this? I'm going through the expert set. They don't have a good index, unfortunately. Or they probably do if I look through some different tables, but I'm just going to go. Let's see, a basilisk. I'll put those in there. It might be fun. They are lizard types. Brian Smith asks, "What caused the fall of the lizardmen? Why did nobody save them?" I mean, one of the questions is, was there anybody to save them? Are we doing lizardmen as basically a human replacement? There are no humans in this world. There's just lizard folk, which could be one thing. Or is it something where the lizardmen dominated the other species, and so that nobody was crying? Who shed tears for the lizardmen? Nobody, because they wanted to be, that everyone looked at that as a positive, the fall of the lizardmen. Were there other people somewhere? Let's see. Ifriti, elementals, elephants, giant fish. Giants in general. Hawks, hellhounds, hippogriffs, horses, hydras, sea hydras. Maybe some of these are the... I didn't see bullywugs. Bullywugs must show up somewhere else. I'm sure in one of the manuals at my disposal, bullywugs will probably show up, but I don't know where they are. I'll put them in there. I'm going to put humans too. Maybe some of these are humans, and maybe some of these are human lizardman hybrids. So I guess, do we want people playing as all of these? What's the idea here? I guess this kind of runs into who are you in terms of this game? Are we just lizardmen trying to pick up the pieces? Are we humans? Well, we're assuming this is some kind of sandbox game. I don't intend to produce this in the end as a very narrative. This is more of a kind of a setting / kind of campaign in a sandbox kind of place. But do we envision that we're just, things have fallen apart, and there's a mixture of human and lizard men, or maybe different types of lizard people? If some of these could all be like bullywugs and troglodytes and basilisks, could all be different types of lizard folk, that maybe the Empire, just a big mixture of these types of lizards and humans. Let's see. Krister asks, only getting audio from the left speaker. Ooh, let me check on that, Krister. That might be something on my end. Let's see. Let me move this. Not everyone needs to see that. All right, left speaker. Left speaker. Where am I looking at for the left speaker? Mix, main. let's see. I don't know, left speaker. I'll have to check on that later. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, it is the same. Okay, well, I will have to check on that. Apologies for that. I'm not sure why you'd be getting only the left. Let's see, stereo. Does that make any difference? There's a little thing here. No, I don't think that would work. Audio input, mic 1, 2. All right, let me just. Channel 1. Yeah, that's that. All right, I'm not gonna worry. I'll come back to it later. Sorry for that. I don't know why. I don't usually do anything different. So curious if what might have changed. If that did anything. If that did anything, let me know. I did change one bit. Okay, Brian Smith says maybe their gods fly out to distant lands and bring back some carcass of huge beasts, and lizardmen take that as a sign to go find smaller versions of it, conquer, capture them. Yeah, it could be. I think the one thing we want no change. All right. I think the one thing we want to do is not get too far in the weeds in details because we're not there yet. Remember, this is just the pitch. This is just the pitch, and then we'll get more into the details. So save those ideas. But we're trying to remember we're part of this the exercise, right? Is that discipline part of okay, just doing the bit you're supposed to do and not to go down rabbit holes for later. So save some of those details. We're just trying to get this overall thing. So somebody had mentioned gray elves. I got to scroll up to see it. Okay, Gashman says, hey, elves can be afar foreigners, probably same for other races. Maybe dwarves are kind of mainly on the eastern island. They're considered uncivilized by the lizard men. All right. And then Brian Smith says, maybe lizard men sucked and brought in lots of other races as delicacies for their gods. Oh, that could be. So kind of a planar, maybe through, and then call it, elves and dwarves from planar, escaped from planar captivity. Something like that. So I'm trying to make this in some kind of sentences. Let's see, what would be the word I'm looking for? Most populous. No. The most numerous species are the various lizard folk, and I'll put in parentheses lizardmen, troglodytes, bullywugs, humans, and humans. There are a few elves and dwarves originating from other planes who were captured by lizard folk but escaped during the fall. All right. I think that sounds pretty good. The most numerous species of the various lizard folk, lizardmen, troglodytes. I put lizardmen twice. Lizardmen, troglodytes, basilisks, bullywugs, and humans. There are a few elves and dwarves originating from other planes who were captured by lizard folk, sorcerers, but escaped during the fall. So we have some ability for other folks, but they're few and far between. Did I spell sorcerers wrong? Yes, I did. Here. Oh, you're going to do that to me. All right, sorcerers. Brian Smith says, like the dragon kills a giant, brings it back. The empire goes after smaller and smaller giantkin. It could be. I mean, I think here we have that we've originated the concept here of sorcerers or of planar travel. Here we have sorcerers, but could be that these could be clerics working on their god's behalf. It would be interesting to know why the dragon gods were bringing back giant carcasses, but we don't need to talk about that now. We can continue workshopping this as we go along. So we've got, okay, early medieval style world. The worlds were coming from the fall of the great lizardmen empire and the death of their god king. Dragons are the gods of the lizardmen and are active in the lives of mortals. However, for reasons unknown, they cannot see or manifest through stone. The most numerous species are the various lizard folk. Lizardmen, troglodytes, basilisks, bullywugs, and humans. There are a few elves and dwarves originating from other planes who were captured by lizard folk sorcerers but escaped during the fall. Brian Smith says maybe the lizard men began breeding their captives to supply their god with treats, open a theme park, and reverse Jurassic Park situation. Maybe, but we don't have to get we don't need to go there right yet. We don't have. Do we have anything on the tone? I suppose I'll just add something in here. It seems fairly dark. I feel like this is a kind of a dark element here. And part of me is still trying to figure out what I would be pitching the party that they're accomplishing. And what I mean is that even in terms of, so, you know, in your sort of everyday generic OSR fantasy, you're probably usually some variation of kind of bringing order to the chaos, ending up with having your own kingdom, guild, tower, kind of whatever. But that's sort of why you're doing that in your own way. Though I suppose it doesn't have to be. You could be a guild member, but there's something always seems to be some kind of, even with, let's say, a thief and a thieves guild, there's always this concept of order, because even a thieves guild is a type of order, bringing rules to lawlessness. And part of me just wants to still kind of trying to figure out, well, what are the people doing? Are you just is this going to be just, hey man, the worlds fall apart, make your own way? Are we supposed to be, you know, what's happening here? I don't know. Maybe we don't need it. I just keep thinking about that. Yeah, I mean, are we doing this sword and sorcery kind of Conan-ish stuff, just working for ourselves? Are we presuming that we're trying to prevent the lizardmen kingdoms from rising again, or the empire from rising again? Is what's happening? I think we'll have to establish, and probably do this more later on, but kind of what is the state of the remnants of the lizardmen empire? Did humanity take over? I mean, maybe that's what I think. Maybe some clarification, but I don't think we need it right now. But it's thinking about is, did the lizardmen fall, and in kind of a Rome situation, they were just kind of petty kingdoms, but then basically, in a sense, the barbarians in this case are the humans, and maybe some dwarves and elves and whatnot, that they rushed in and took over for the most part, and are now clawing their own kingdoms out of the skeleton of the fallen lizardmen empire. Or what else is happening? You know, or have the lizardmen empire fallen, but they're still kind of there. Make your own. Cashman says, make your own empire. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the make your own empire. I mean, obviously, I'm not trying to say what people should be doing, but I often think about, you know, kind of in terms of part of that pitch. Like, what are you doing? I mean, yeah, it could be just, hey, you're Conan, you can become king. You're Conan, you're gonna wear your crown on a troubled brow, kind of thing. Or is there gonna be something else? I'm not sure. I think part of it is maybe I just need to ponder what's happened to the lizardmen. How low have they fallen? Are they now rare in the world? Have they fallen so far and their numbers just been obliterated? Whatever ritual the lizard man, god king tried to do just knocked out like 99% of the lizardmen? Or are they still around in numbers? It almost is like, how far are we into the fall of the lizardmen empire? And I guess maybe at some point I have to figure out, well, what did that fall look like? Because we are talking about there's some kind of divine magical Armageddon that happened to them. You know, how bad is it? Is this their asteroid into the Gulf of Mexico, end of the Cretaceous period moment, or what? Conan the Lizard Man, says Gastron. Yeah, could be. Ryan Smith says, it feels like all the other races were outmatched by the active dragons in their search for safety. They found security of stone. Now must learn to reclaim the surface. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm trying to, so we're going to say it's kind of, I'm going to say, so it's the, just because I want to get some tone in here. Talking dark, gritty, scrabbling to fill the vacuum of the left by the self-destruction of the lizardmen. Two, is it 1C? All right, I like that. I think that works for right now. And I do like they did. Maybe they were underground. Maybe even dwarves could be a reworking of people. Different adaptations. I think, it might be interesting. I'm just going to put a little note here. Maybe we'll go with this. Maybe we won't. But it's the one thing. I'm still this interface. Just an alternate idea. I'll put that in. Part of me just thinks, I wonder if there were adaptations of that, if humanity underwent some adaptations, maybe because they had gone underground or whatever, that different things that they took on sort of what we would consider elvish and dwarven archetypes. The day says, what if the lizard men are like real lizards and don't function as well in the cold? Other races move in the winter and night to avoid the lizard men. Oh, I like that. I like that too. Ryan Smith says, almost post-apocalyptic races hiding under stone, active dragons tearing stuff up. Maybe when the heroes pop their heads up, they realize the lizard man empire's fallen and not sure why. That's good too. I'll put those as a couple more notes. All right, but now we need to, whoops. Oh, yeah, it is. Goodbye. All right. All right, so before we get, remember, we're trying, where should I stick this one? I'll put this one here. Okay, so the other thing we need to do now in the time we have left, which is not very long, is what are our source materials? Anyone have some good, so I think as far as source inspirations, I think we got Fall of the Roman. Actually, you know what? I should do this in a different way. Let's delete. Make a nice list. Inspirational material. All right. Fall of the Roman Empire. The old classic Fall of the Roman Empire. What else have we got as far as inspirational material? Anyone have some good books? We have any movies? What have we got for? Let me go back and read what do we have here? Gather your sources of inspiration. List them as an annotated bibliography. Cite a name, author, center, and a sentence or two explaining about what each source brings to or supports within the setting. Color your list. There's no more than 7 entries. Check to see if they are referenced by your pitch points in some way. Sources are for you. They do not need to and perhaps shouldn't be shared with players. There you have it. I don't know the Eagle Elliot Michelle, but I will put that in there. All right. Is that one about the missing Roman legion? I'll throw it in there. That's another thing. By doing these in weeks, I have a chance to actually go look at some of the stuff and pull up quotes and things and see. All right, so we'll go with the Eagle. I'm just going to add some more. What else we got? Missing Legion. Okay. just gonna put that in quotes. Yep. Anything about let's see, what was that movie? Oh yeah, Rain of Fire. That might be some good inspiration. Certainly about Dragon Apocalypse. What else we got, folks? Hit me up. Hit me with your best shot. Fire away. Whoops. Let's see. Do you have anything else good on dragons? Or I mean, I know there are all those conspiracy theories, conspiracy books about the lizard men ruling the world from beyond the moon. I just don't know any of them. All right, so we're going to need, let's see, yes, we got one, two, three, four, five. We need a few more. Fallout, the games. About emerging from underground in a post. Okay. All right. Fall of the Roman Empire. The Eagle. Reign of Fire. Fallout. I need more. More. 1, 2, 3. We got 4. I need 3 more. Did I calculate that correctly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, 7. Fallout. Anything with a resistance faction. Well, that doesn't help me very much. Brian Smith. Just about everything's got resistance factions in there. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I'll put the Iliad. Because the Iliad 1, it has active gods. Oh, yeah. About active gods and battles for survival. You know, you've got basically the Iliad, you know, the Romans, the Greeks against the Trojans. Greek gods and the Trojan gods are pretty active in the affairs. It's definitely about the essential the elimination, destruction of all life on Arrakis and also in Troy. Oh yeah, we'll put Conan. Absolutely. And we got one more. This is we ripped off a few. So we got Fall of the Roman Empire, The Eagle, Reign of Fire, Fallout, the video game, The Iliad by Homer, Conan the Barbarian by Howard. Can never go wrong with Jules Verne. What Jules Verne in particular? What Jules Verne stories have we got? We've got, where are his books? Works. Here we go. Jules Verne bibliography. Okay. 5 Weeks in a Balloon, The Adventures of Captain Hatteras, Journey to the Center of the Earth, From the Earth to the Moon, In Search of the Castaways, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Well, I'm realizing now there's a lot of these I do not know. 800 Leagues on the Amazon. Foundling Mick. Carpathian Castle. I'm going to have to read up on some of these. Master of the World. Ooh, what's that? Oh, wow. Set in the summer of 1903, a series of unexplained events occur across the eastern United States caused by objects moving with such great speed that they are nearly invisible. Interesting. Invasion of the Sea. Describes the exploits of Berber nomads and European travelers in Saharan Africa. The European characters. Okay. Oh, okay. Journey to the center of the earth. All right. I will put that in there. Journey to the center of the earth. Learn perhaps underground worlds. Dinosaurs, etc. Nice. All right, folks. So let me just recap this as we close this hour, which represents our first week. Now, I will say up front that I may fiddle with things in between now and then, and maybe depending on, and I don't know, we used about the full hour on this, though. I did some kind of intro stuff, and if on the next one we skip some of the intro things, maybe that'll be more time. But I also might just recap the weeks. But feel free to hit me up on my forums, forums.hex.press, or in the comments on YouTube or Twitch or wherever, or if you find me on Reddit, wherever you want to find me. If you come up with some ideas in the interim, this is all stuff that's in flux. None of this is written in stone. We're not locked in any single one of these. If we have new ideas that come up that seem more interesting than the ideas we have, I think we could feel free to replace them. I think certainly as we go through this process, we're going to look back on stuff and want to amend it. So if you have this kind of, and this is part of what I like about having the week, is that, hey, now we have from now until the next one, maybe I'll try to do them every Monday to let this stuff sink in and see where it sits with us. In terms of our pitch, we've got it's an early medieval style world, i.e. no plate armor, no established codes of chivalry or feudalism, and the world is recovering from the fall of the great Lizardman Empire and the death of their god king. Dragons are the gods of the Lizardmen and are active in the lives of mortals. However, for reasons unknown, though I think at this point we think it is interlocked with the death of the god king and the fall of the empire, they cannot see or manifest through stone. The most numerous species are the various lizard folk, and this might be the one that might change the most in flux depending on how we see this apocalypse. But at least maybe we should say that the world that's ending was dominated by the lizard folk, though maybe this is kind of a fall of the dinosaurs type thing, and that there's this big point in which you go from lizard folk dominating the world to literally very few to no lizard folk, maybe just remnants. And we can think about why this is happening, what's wrong with things. And then also with humans, there are a few elves and dwarves. It seems like at this point we're saying they originate from other planes, but were captured by lizard folk sorcerers, but they escaped during the fall. Alternatively, they may be different versions of humans. Maybe it's unknown. Maybe it's even something that we don't know. And the world that the players find themselves in, the kind of gameplay, it's going to be dark, it's going to be gritty. You're going to be scrabbling to fill the vacuum that's left by the lizardmen's self-destruction. And then, as far as inspirational material, we get Fall of the Roman Empire, the book by Edward Gibbon, the movie The Eagle, the movie Reign of Fire, the video game Fallout, the Iliad by Homer, Conan the Barbarian by Howard, and Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne. And I think that does it. The Dave says there's a transition period. I think the interesting thing is I saw there was a Nova with the dinosaurs, that there really wasn't much of a transition period. Like, it's pretty much like abrupt. And in fact, I think I saw there was a really neat show where they went into the bones of dinosaurs that were like, that might have been one of the first dinosaurs to die. But it's pretty fascinating how, at least with the dinosaurs, it seemed to happen, relatively speaking, at least in geological terms, like the snap of a finger and the dinosaurs are gone. Pretty kind of horrific and scary. But we could figure out those reasons later. But I think that's a really good week one. I'm very happy. I think we have a concept. We got some inspiration. If you feel like doing this over the course of the week, checking out some of these things, I don't expect somebody to read all these books and play all the video games and watch all the movies. But I'll come through there and we will arm ourselves with these ideas going forward. And then next time next one of these will be on the surrounding area. So we'll pull up probably a hexographer, worldographer, and we'll start doing some mappage. So that was our first week of Gygax 75 in the books. Have a great rest of your day or night whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Oh, wait. Devious Dungeons Paintings has a question for me. I have a minute. Devious Dungeon, so I shall hold off my farewells. Yes, Devious Dungeon, hit me with it. What have you got? Now comes the hard part. I have to wait, see what they're typing. I need to have my elevator music on cue for these things. When someone says like, "Wait, can I ask you something?" and then I have to wait, and I don't know how long it's going to be. That's a long question. All right, hey, Devious Dungeon Painting, or you can just hit me up on Reddit, Twitter, anywhere else. Send it to me, or you can hit me up on the next one. I'll be streaming tomorrow. Not sure what it's going to be tomorrow. But there will be more. I'm not going anywhere. Hopefully, knock on wood, knock on particle board, not going anywhere. Anyhow, have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, and talk to you later, everybody.